Today brings us another opportunity to celebrate the realization of hope by parents and guardians for the 736,942 children of a young age that sat their primary living examinations for the year 2020. As all of you may know, this cohort of candidates sat their PLE in this year, 2021, instead of 2020, due to the unusual circumstances beyond our control orchestrated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, today is yet another opportunity. It is a day to thank God, as my colleagues have said before me. It is a day to thank God who has been faithful, really faithful, as He carried these young people and all of us as the education sector and our whole nation through a very unusual season that we have been going through. A time when the hope of many had waned with the fear that the candidates would forego the year 2020. It is for this reason that this moment is not a mere occasion for releasing of results which we have done every year in the past, but we are celebrating hope achieved by those who did not give up. So I extend a special thank you to the team at UNEB, your field personnel, the security, and district local governments that helped in executing this assignment of PLE 2020. It is not an assignment that we could do alone as a ministry. We had to work together as government, as others pitched in to help UNEB to do their work. I also take this opportunity to recognize the great effort of sacrifice by our frontline people, that is the teachers. The teachers are our frontline soldiers who had to take these pupils through the remedial classes to get them ready for their PLE. And I must thank the parents, the guardians, for not losing hope, but for choosing to stand with their children as they journeyed through an unusual season that neither nor they have been through before. What you parents did preparing these children surely contributed to the noted improvement in performance, as you heard from UNEB, and even better performance in some subjects in the 2020 PLE. To our young people who are watching or listening, what you're witnessing today as an achievement by your peers is evidence of perseverance. These circumstances in which the 2020 PLE were sat are not something any government around the world or parent or learner could have predicted and prepared for. But each person who had a stake and role to play in this cycle of PLE put in what they knew best to do within their means, and they did it. Perseverance only comes when one has the hope that what they are focused on to achieve is possible in spite of the circumstances around them. Hope is stirred up when we appreciate that the goal ahead is bigger and better than the situation one may be in. It is the anticipated joy of reaching that goal that one is hoping for that truly inspires them to persevere, not to tire or to give up. So to our young people and adults out there, make a stand and choose not to give up on your goals because of the inconveniences you are feeling now, you are meeting now, either because of closure of schools or disruption of livelihood or even the grief of losing the loved ones. However, when we lose the hope that we can reach our goals, not only do we despair, but we also fail to prepare for life that will be after the bad situation is no more. It is the hope in one that COVID-19 shall not be forever here. It will not be here forever. That's what inspires us to prepare and be ready for the season after this pandemic. For surely that season will come, because this pandemic must surely end at some stage. For instance, the achievement of completing 2020 PLE cannot be taken away from those who have accomplished this goal. And by completing their PLE, they become ready for the next level of their education pursuit, no matter how long COVID-19 stays. Since the President announced the first closure of education institutions of learning on the 20th of March 2020, as a sector, we have also been taking time to learn on how better to deliver our services in the present circumstances and post-COVID-19. That said, we are cognizant of the fact that sometimes what is preferred is not affordable in the now. For example, we do appreciate the role digital learning platforms play in delivery of formal education during school closures. It has worked in a handful of urban international and private schools here and been utilized widely in developed countries. However, given other equally important priorities of the state, it is not within our means to deliver internet to all the 15,423 primary schools and an electronic gadget to each of the 10.8 million learners in these schools. So, most of the learners that completed PLE for the primary 7 class of 2020 did benefit largely from the home study materials we heavily invested in. We supplemented lessons through radio and television broadcasts in regions where such services were in reach. This is where I urge parents and guardians, local councils and district local governments to do the best job you know how to do when it comes to ensuring that when these home study materials are supplied to your districts by the Ministry of Education, please ensure that they reach the intended beneficiaries in their homes, because those children only have hope in these materials if they can continue to do some work even as they wait for COVID-19 to pass. I observed that the number of registered candidates increased by 7.75% in 2020, by almost 54,000 compared with a 2.25% average increase in registration over the previous 5 years. This is indeed a milestone we thank God for. bearing in mind the unusual circumstances of 2020 PLE registration when it was done. Sadly, 12,819 registered candidates were not able to show up for the exams. Now, whereas the rate of absentee candidates has been on the decrease from 2.7% on registered candidates in 2016 to 1.7% in 2020, our education system needs to account for this category of learners who register but never do the exams. This is where we need the help from the parents, because we must track these children who register because they want to do exams but never get to do them. UNEB, I pray, will provide now the breakdown of these absentee candidates to each local government and let the education officers follow up to establish what happened to these learners. It is important not just to the Ministry of Education as a sector, it is important for the government, it is important for the country to know what happens to children like these. This phenomenon of absentee candidates should remind us of the critical role parents and guardians play in continuity of learning of their children. Parents are there to provide basic needs for their children, counsel, encourage, and inspire them to reach what they hope for in life. I call upon parents and guardians that your children need to hear words of hope from you to encourage them in the current season the world is going through. I want the parents to know that their support for their children and their love for them can only come from them as parents. These children can find support elsewhere, can even find love from others, but it's not the same as when it comes from the parents, especially in a season like this one that we're going through. Therefore, I say utilize this time, parents, when the children are at home, to strengthen bonding with them. Do not let your child be raised by the winds of social media and bad company. I did note the continuous improvement in girls' attendance. The girls are becoming better by the year, and we thank God for that. We are aware of the unique toll school closures have had on the girl child, but to see that they are doing better at school and in these exams, it's an encouragement to us as a nation. Again, I want to challenge each parent watching and listening to me today. Let us make our homes places of safety and refuge for our children. It is shameful that a home should be the most unsafe place for any child. It is a shame to see children running away from their homes where their parents live, a place which should be a safe haven for them. To see the children running away from them, it is really a shame that we must fight against as a nation. When children experience safety in the home, they grow in their hope and certainty of the future. I note that the number of learners who have qualified for post-primary education has increased this year by a much larger percentage than before. Government, working with the private providers of education, will ensure that all the learners are placed in secondary schools and the post-primary vocational institutions. It is, however, disturbing to note that some of our education stakeholders, including teachers, are still not heeding our call to desist from the evil practice of cheating in examinations. I have also noted that some schools and districts are perennially known for cheating examinations for their candidates year after year. This type of corruption must be put to an end. It is my prayer and hope that when investigations are completed, those culpable will be subjected to the penalties prescribed in the law, and UNEB shall name and shame such schools and districts, and the whole nation will get to know of these schools. I am happy that the UNEB Act was amended, thereby giving the board more functions and powers. The sanctions are much more deterrent than in the repealed law, as you heard the chairperson for the board say. I urge UNEB, therefore, to widely disseminate this amended law through your website as well as the ministries. Let me conclude now by congratulating the candidates by passing the 2020 PLE. Once again, I appreciate the parents, the guardians, the teachers, among others, who made it possible despite the difficulties brought by COVID-19 pandemic. For those who were not successful with PLE, as you've heard from my colleague, I encourage you not to lose hope. And we say this all the time, please don't lose hope. Try again. Do not give up the focus of achieving your goals. Give it another try. Regarding the selection exercise for Senior 1, the details shall be communicated to you in due course, but not before the lockdown has been lifted. Keep safe by observing the SOPs for COVID-19 as communicated by the Ministry of Health. And I'd like to say something about medical students here also, in need to go back to their institutions of learning. But I want you to know that we're discussing your request, we are looking at everything, and we'll come back to you as soon as possible. But I can't say now that you will go back at this time. But please know, we are discussing this as a government, and we'll come back to you as soon as possible. It is now my pleasure to release the 2020 PLE examination results to the public, and I thank you all, and God bless you. And I have already shown you the results. Here again are the results, PLE 2020.
Can we clap more?
God bless you all. God bless Uganda. Thank you.